This is Off the Shelf, a program dedicated to keeping you informed about your local library. This month, Off the Shelf takes a look at the STEAM Team Club at Hastings Branch and has a bookside chat about teen mental health awareness. Pasadena Public Library also partners with organizations like the Pasadena Mental Health Advisory Committee to host the annual Mental Health Day event at the Central Library, as well as working with SideStreet Projects to teach woodworking skills to kids on mobile school buses at the Pintoresca Library.
SideStreet Projects is an arts organization in Pasadena that offers arts programming to adults and children, many different kinds of programs. The main component on the day-to-day basis that we offer is woodworking, and we have 4 mobile wood shops, which means that we have 2 school buses that have been gutted and turned into wood shops with 15 woodworking stations, and then we have 2 Airstream trailers. And all 4 of those mobile wood shops go out across LA, Greater Los Angeles, to different schools for after-school programming, sometimes in-school programming. Our classes tend to be in a series of like 8 weeks or sometimes 12 weeks. We usually start with a demo. So one of the teachers gives a demonstration of various tools and techniques. We generally do that every week, so the kids are building in new techniques every week. And then they go to their desks and they all have their own tools, and we give them wood and they choose the projects that they work on, and they make projects based on a drawer system. So they start on the silver, which is very easy, and then they have to do 3 projects in each drawer so that we can see that they're building the skills and learning how to use the tools that are required for each drawer. And then they move up through the drawer system, which is pretty fun because, you know, as you can imagine, the highest drawer, the red drawer, has very elaborate dinosaurs and helicopters and peace signs and lots of moving parts. So it's very exciting to them that they have this kind of process where they get to chart their journey of, I'm almost at the green drawer, I'm almost at the yellow drawer. So they're learning all kinds of, you know, manual skills, you know, woodworking trade skills and craft, and also just kind of, I think in a world where we all know we are all on the screens way too much, they are remembering how to be in their bodies, using their hands, making real live things that they can give to other people or keep for themselves. And it seems like, you know, an experience that humans need more and more as we keep going on in our technological world. I've taught this particular class at La Pintoresca Library every time we've offered it with the wood shop, and it's my top favorite class because it is SideStreet partnering with a community-based organization, right? So libraries are one of our main public spaces that we have where families and children and adults go for programming. And because of where it's situated, we have kids coming from all different kinds of families. Some are much more local, like right in streets nearby, and some drive to get here. And so it kind of combines SideStreet and our values and philosophies with the city's values and kind of public arts programming, and pulls it all together. So that kind of off-site learning, you know, where we're really rooted right in the community. I love going to the schools, but there's something about being at a community-based site that is really exciting because it draws people from all over, and they're really coming for that specific activity. And the kids are just, the kids across the board, whether, it doesn't matter what site you're at, the kids are excited. But I think as teachers, it's very gratifying to be working in a very like community-based system. So as many people know, woodshop has been phased out of so many schools across the country. SideStreet was founded 25 years ago, so it was very visionary at the time to see that woodshop was phasing out and to realize that it's such an important skill and value to have. So the whole program is designed to decentralize woodshop, since it's not being offered right at the schools, and we bring it to the schools, right? So the other great thing about that is that the buses and the trailers can go pretty much anywhere. They can't go up super, super steep hills, so I guess they can't go to the very, very, very tippy top of the wealthy neighborhoods, but we can go pretty much anywhere, and that means we're bringing this programming to kids of all backgrounds. And that's really the value that we have at the core of the organization, is to reach kids who especially don't have those resources and don't have that access. And I've taught kids from all different backgrounds, and I have to say working with the kids who are less resourced is super gratifying because you can just see the woodworking gives so much to everyone. It's so joyful, it's fun, it builds self-esteem and a sense of confidence because you're making these real things and you turn rectangles into, you know, creatures. But for kids who have less, it's really amazing to see how much of it makes a difference just even in a day, and then in a kind of week to week, and then by the end of a course, you can just really see how the kids are backed up in a way that they really need.
Mental health awareness is important because it is a huge factor in the mortality rates just as the population in general. For example, the youth rates in the last 10 to 15 years have risen almost maybe about 20 to 30%, where teenagers are not living as long as they should be because they are unaware of a mental disorder that has very debilitating effects on their ability to sustain healthy relationships, to do well in school, but also to just be a productive member of society. The Pasadena Public Library has a wealth of resources in regards to mental health awareness. We have everything from books. We have an online consumer health web guide. It has a specific section on mental illness. We also have a teen web guide that assists teens in finding resources and information about mental health and mental illness. And there's even a special section for staff that is, they want to learn more about specifically youth mental illness. That's available for them too. We have AV materials and even ebooks that that focus on mental health. The library does have mental health programming. In fact, on Saturday, May 18th, we will be hosting the 2019 Pasadena Mental Health Day, where patrons and citizens will have access to a resource fair to connect to services and resources in the community. There will also be interactive workshops focusing on mental health, and there will even be a presentation from individuals who are experiencing mental illness but don't let that prevent them from living a productive life, as well as a special youth empowerment corner focusing on mental health and wellness. One title that I can recommend is called It's Kind of a Funny Story by Ned Vizzini. It's about a boy named Craig who is experiencing depression and anxiety and not knowing what to do, ends up checking himself into the local psychiatric ward. And there he meets several different characters and gets to know not only them but himself and how to deal with his own issues. Another title that I highly recommend is actually called Challenger Deep, written by Neil Shusterman. This particular book is very important because it encapsulates a young boy who has schizophrenic episodes. And this is a highly stigmatized mental disorder, and the author does a great job of not only depicting what schizophrenia is, but it provides a little bit of hope for teens that may be experiencing schizophrenia, and that it's going to be touch and go, but you can get through this. Another title that I can recommend is actually for parents of teenagers, and this one's called The Teenage Brain, written by Frances Jensen, who's actually a neuroscientist. And in this book is a lot of information about the teen brain itself, what happens in development, and how things like mental illness, how some erratic behaviors develop based on the science. And it's an interesting read. It's quite funny, but it's also very informative, especially when you have a teen who you just don't understand.
The STEAM Team Club meets here once a month. This month we had our butterfly program. So we came out here, we used the iNaturalist app to learn about the different plants and flowers and animals that are here at Hastings. We all had iPads and we were documenting different kinds of life here in the garden and on the grounds at Hastings. So we took a lot of pictures of flowers and plants and trees. We use the iNaturalist app. It automatically tries to identify the pictures that you take. So it suggests species, and then you look through the pictures and you think, okay, this is the one that looks like the most like what I identified. So kids are, you don't have to make them use an iPad. They're pretty eager to do it. So this is a great way to sort of incorporate something that they really are interested in with nature, with getting out here and experiencing nature and learning about our local environment. Here at Hastings, we have monthly STEAM events for tweens, and it's always something different. Sometimes it's science or technology, engineering, art, or math. We do all kinds of different programs. For the past 5 months, it's been all environmental. So we've been mainly outside. I think the kids were really excited to incorporate technology and STEAM with learning about nature. So they all seemed really excited to use the app, and I hope that they'll take it home and use it maybe teach their parents how to use it.
So today is the 9th annual Pasadena Mental Health Day event. This is where we collaborate with key partners and we engage the community. And that's essentially what this event's all about, is engaging the community, is bringing the community out and increasing awareness about mental illness, mental health challenges, mental health risks, and so forth, to educate, but also to empower and encourage each other that everybody has mental health issues, or it's relevant for everyone, it applies to everyone. We want to emphasize physical health doesn't happen without mental health, and mental health doesn't happen without physical health, and there's that whole mind-body experience. And so if we can use Pasadena Mental Health Day as a way to really humanize and make it okay for us to share our stories, to go beyond the label, and to really, just be curious and to make it more okay for us to talk about mental health and change our thinking about it.
Mental health is no less essential than our physical health, and yet so many people struggling with mental health issues do so in silence, afraid that others won't understand or that they would be unable to understand it themselves. And that's why this event is so important. It's so important to bring about awareness. I'm so impressed by all the resources that you have out there and the speaking engagements that you have of these very important people in Pasadena who can be role models for all of us in terms of how we deal with mental health issues.
I think it's definitely all of our responsibility, whether they're business owners or just people in the community, to help other people out. I mean, God calls us to use our business that way, but I think God calls all of us to use our lives that way, to not only just think of ourselves, but to think of others, to recognize that everybody has a name and everybody has a story. And everybody has had issues that they're either currently struggling with or have struggled with in the past. So to realize that we're not alone, and that we don't need to live this life alone, and that we need to acknowledge people when we walk by. So the trick is, rather than asking someone how they're doing and walk right by them without listening, stop and say, really, how are you doing? And wait for the answer. Your life will change if you just do these small steps. Ask people their name, listen to them, have some compassion, have some empathy and some sympathy. All those words that we learned in school, try to live them out and your life will change, your heart will change, and will change from being hopeless to being hopeful. So that's my challenge to each and every one of us. Help one person every day.
So there's many words in the Hebrew Bible for being seen. Lots of different ways to conjugate the root of being seen. Not seen, I see you, God sees you. We're not, we don't feel like we're seen. And that is kind of the number one thing that we hear with our clients and our guests. Everything we do is about compassion and connection and dignity. In providing these critical needs is that they feel seen as human beings, having conversation, because most of the time if they're on the streets, nobody will talk to them, and so they just sit quietly all day. And a lot of folks talk to themselves, and it's not just because they don't have their proper medication because they can't get that, but because that's the only voice that is directed at them.
So this year we really wanted to put focus on youth homelessness as well as mental health. This year we had a panelist of different experts in the youth field, and we were discussing all the different types of resources we have for youth homelessness individuals. There's actually a lot. We have the library here for mental health resources. You have your public health department. We have Youth Moving On here in Pasadena, and then opening sometime in early August will be our new teen drop-in center for the Pasadena Public Health Department as well for youth services. There'll be resources like trainings, workshops, resume making, food, and then just all around a good time for those who really need it.
Everything that you see here is part of a mental health education kit that's designed for educators who work primarily with teenagers and youth organizations who also work with teenagers. And the aim of it was to give them materials and a curriculum to somehow integrate mental health into their programs and their services.
So for someone who's not artistic, a way that they can use art to express themselves and not get frustrated is really just to acknowledge the fact that it's not about the quality of the art, it's about the expression. And also, art comes in different forms. So if you're feeling emotions and you want to represent that, rather than focusing on the content, focus on the colors, or even recognizing art, looking at photos online that can represent how you're feeling. Just a recognition of art. It's a great way to use art as a tool, even when you yourself may not be artistically inclined.
I'm often asked what are the top 3 practical exercises to really stress and restore balance. And what comes to mind really is first, to be fully present. We talk about sometimes when we're stressed out, we're really unable to focus on anything else than what's going on in front of us, other than what's in front of us. Here we're talking about taking a moment to just look at your environments. Just make sure that you can look at the colors, that you can look at your details, you move your neck around, you move your eyes around. This is really important for you to send a message to your body so that you can be fully present, right? And focused. So come back into your body. The second exercise, which is a very useful thing, would be simply for you to work with your breathing. Often people, when we're stressed out, we forget to breathe. And so it's important for us to come back to the breath. Just make sure that your exhale is long and full and comfortable. That's going to help your body to settle. And the third exercise, honestly, is just for people to be doing physical exercise. Get some movement. It doesn't have to be anything major. You don't have to do Zumba. You don't have to do yoga. It's good for you. I recommend that. But you may even just do just a walk. Just make sure you get some movement, because when you get stressed out, the body will bring up some stress that we need to diffuse. We need to do something with it. And so if we just sit, it's going to stay in the body. So here you want to make sure that you get some movement so that you can diffuse that stress and restore balance.
So simple ways to start practicing mindfulness. Feel your feet on the earth, really. Feel grounded, feel centered. Notice, are you thinking about the past? Are you caught up in the future? And bringing your attention to right now. Another simple way to practice mindfulness is to just gently place your hand on your heart, offering yourself some compassion for whatever stress, struggle that you're feeling with. Just taking a moment, knowing life is always changing, this too shall pass. Another simple way to practice mindfulness is to just connect with someone. Look them in the eye, smile at them, say hello, bringing your attention to now, remembering that we're all part of common humanity, part of the human journey.
Simple yoga moves that people can do right now. Shoulder circles, so just taking the shoulders, rolling them down and back. I also like just some simple head exercises, up and down, side to side, bending over, touching your toes, and just relaxing the spine and the head, letting it hang really heavy. We call that a forward fold. It's really good for the back. And then if you have a little more space, I would recommend coming all the way onto your back, hugging your knees into chest, and just moving side to side, circling the knees. It's a very gentle lower back massage.
I think our objective here today is to make sure that Pasadena is known as a city of compassion. And I don't think it's a big reach. What really makes us a city of compassion is the proliferation of nonprofit organizations like Rabbi Grader's, Friends Indeed, but there are dozens of organizations that many of you know about and may even represent that are deeply engaged in doing really the heavy lifting in terms of helping people who need help. There's no family, including my own, that doesn't experience a direct impact of mental health issues. We shouldn't just have Mental Health Month in Pasadena, or Mental Health Day. I mean, every day is really Mental Health Day.
Here's what's happening in June and July. It's showtime at your library. The whole world is a stage to explore at the Pasadena Public Library. Join us this summer for literary fun. Summer reading for children, teens, and adults runs through August 3rd. Sign up at pasadena.beanstack.org or register at your local Pasadena Public Library. Summer reading kicks off with our One City, One Story summer book selection, The Ballad of Huck and Miguel, by Tim DeRoche and illustrated by Daniel Gonzalez. It's Alzheimer's and Brain Awareness Month, so join us for our Family Education Series on Thursdays in June at the Central Library's Donald Wright Auditorium from 7 to 8:30 p.m., covering topics like learning the warning signs for early detection and effective communication regarding dementia. On July 9th at 6:30 p.m., Hastings Branch hosts a workshop with tips and info for caregivers working with a family member with Alzheimer's or dementia. Love the Huntington Library? Through August, adults with a Pasadena Public Library card can check out a pass for a family of 4 for free admission to the Huntington Library. Passes are available on a first-come, first-served basis on Fridays and are non-reservable. An adult can check out the pass for 1 week and allows 1 visit per family during that week. Join us through August for our LA River Metro Bicycle Series. Learn bike handling skills, bike safety, rules of the road, and street skills, and then practice biking in the real world by exploring the Arroyo Seco Trail. All class participants will receive a free helmet and a set of bike lights. This series is for Pasadena Public Library cardholders only and participants in the One City, One Story Summer Reading Program. Both adults and teens ages 13 and up are welcome to join in. Are you creative? Show off your design and building skills by participating in the Design Your Lego contest in July. Visit PasadenaPublicLibrary.net for contest guidelines and additional information. To learn more about these programs and other offerings, visit our website at PasadenaPublicLibrary.net or pick up a printed copy of Off the Shelf at one of your local libraries.